The indie author revolution has been around for more than a decade, but we indies continue to push the boundaries of what we're capable of. From getting over initial prejudices to staring down perfectionism and author imposter syndrome, we've become a force to reckon with. Now, after years of hustle and grind, we indies are rebelling again. Gone are the days of publishing a book a month until we drop, and in its place we're sowing the seeds of a better way. A way with more ease, abundance, and flow. Get ready to learn about indie authorship from a whole new perspective. We're about to cover everything from releasing your poverty mentality to manifesting your millionaire author destiny. I'm Carissa Andrews, and this is the Author Revolution podcast.
Well, hi there. Welcome back to another episode of the Author Revolution podcast. Here we are. We are in the middle of December 2023. And if you've been following me for a while, you already know that December is always the month where I really start to think about like the endings of the year, the beginnings that are coming. What have I accomplished? Where am I going? Why am I doing it? Do you feel like that sometimes too? One of the things about it is just there's like this good feeling vibe. And I don't know if it's because I have that Hermione aspect of a part of me, or if it's just technically the way that we're hardwired. And I know some of this is actually hardwired, but follow me for a second, okay? When I think about the end of the year and what's coming next year, it gets me excited for what the possibilities could bring. There's like this psychological effect, the psychological new beginning that really just makes me feel like anything is possible. And it is, right? It's always that way. You can, tomorrow decide that it's a new beginning and anything is possible. But when we as a collective are coming together and deciding that this is a new beginning of some sort, whether it be a temporal like landmark, like the beginning of a school year or your birthday, or of course, a new year, it gives us these ideas in our mind and helps us to mentally separate like these past imperfections, perhaps, or, helping us separate from that into a new future version of ourselves. And it just helps us be more optimistic as we set the stage for change, right? And I think that's why so many of us get so excited at the beginning of the year, because we're seeing new things. We're ready to do, certain changes. Maybe it's your weight, maybe it's your diet, maybe it's your workout routine, because of course that's kind of a big one, right? At the beginning of the year. But for us authors, it's the same. We're trying to begin anew. We're trying to start fresh with something. We're trying to, become a new version of ourselves. And for me, that the thing that's really worked the best, or the thing that's really stuck when I'm trying to make those shifts, is my mindset. If I don't have my mind in place, if I don't have it ready to go, there is no way I'm going to be able to do the things I want to do, because what ends up happening is I fall back into those subroutines or those habits, right? The habits that we've incorporated into our lives. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. But when that happens, when we fall back into those old patterns, then we start getting down on ourselves and we think, well, obviously I couldn't do it, so therefore I must suck at this, and oh well, just keep going and, not care about this particular goal anymore. What I'm here to say though is that when we're thinking about going forward and becoming more, we have to mentally prep ourselves. So when Colin and I were thinking about going no sugar, no grains, or going carnivore, we ended up actually, I think, embracing more of a keto diet is what we've become instead of either one of those two things. But as we were starting that journey, there was a lot of mental prep that I was going through. And it wasn't even so much as like research, which is, I'm not high in input. So I didn't have to like input all the things, even though I love learning. So learning is a high strength of mine, but input isn't. And so for me, it was more internal. I was thinking it through. I was thinking how this is going to logistically work. I was thinking about that hard deadline of October 1st is when we're switching to a new diet to try to, get our bodies back in check, like try to figure out what the deal is. And since then, the information, the things that we've needed to learn has come through as we're on this journey, and it's stuck, right? So because I prepped for it, we've been doing this for, let's see, this would be 11 weeks now, where we've been working on it. We haven't been eating sugar. We haven't been, eating carbs. We haven't been drinking. There's been like nothing. I mean, we've been drinking water, lots and lots of water, trust me, but there's been nothing else, right? There's no pop, there's no sodas, there's no sugary drinks, there's no juices, there's no alcohol, none of those things, except for very specific days. But what we found, like that was our get out of jail quick card, like for one day, right? Or for one holiday or for one whatever, so that we don't feel like we're locked into this thing forever. We were like, okay, Thanksgiving, we could just have it as a normal day. We can eat whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. But as we got closer to that, like from October to Thanksgiving, we're like, I feel really good not eating gluten. I feel really good not eating sugar. And we found ways, keto ways actually, to create the same meal, the same foods, but without all the added shit, which was great. And it was funny because my mom actually said that she liked some of the side dishes better than the stuff that we did before. So rather than having, yams or sweet potatoes, we actually had a sweet potato casserole, it's air quotes here, that was all butternut squash. That's what it was. And it actually tasted better, but it doesn't have the high carb content. Now, I'm kind of sidetracking a bit, but I want you to see my point, right? When we started, we knew we had to mentally prepare ourselves for the change that we were going to go through. We knew it was going to bring, maybe headaches for Colin for sure. It was going to have sugar withdrawals, definitely for Colin. I was actually okay, thankfully, because I'm not a huge sugar person, even though I like sugar. I was good, right? But we knew there were going to be things that we'd have to shift. Now, going into 2024 or whatever year or whatever new beginning you're starting, it takes that little bit of mental prep to get ready for it. So if you're sitting here in the middle of December and you're not thinking about what your 2024 gets to look like for you, it's time to maybe start brainstorming that out. It's time to start thinking through the ideas of what it is you want. And the reason for it is because it's so crucial, especially during these transition moments, because it can allow us to make some very bold, drastic leaps in our careers, in the way that we handle things. And it helps us just to, time collapse a bit. That future version of ourselves that we know we want to get to and bring it in closer because we've looked at it, we've visualized it, we've thought about it, we've given ourselves time to manifest it and bring it into reality, right? But there are really true psychological and neurological effects that are happening when we look at these new beginnings. So psychologically, like we talked about, when we're looking at those specific date moments, whether we create them ourselves or we have them kind of placed upon us because it's a new school year or it's a new year in general, all of those things, studies have shown, economic behavioral studies actually suggest that the landmarks, having those, true temporal landmarks helps us to separate all of those old times with the new times. It helps us with starting that new period off with our new goals in mind and helps us to actively reset all of the things that we want. So we hit the reset button and it boosts our motivation, it boosts our commitment. Authors can harness this by setting new writing goals or resolutions at the start of the year, which we've talked about in the past. Now, I also like to do like an end of the year future casting manifestational idea where I will write out to myself, what does next year get to bring? What does it get to look like for us? What's going to be happening? I write them all out. And if you listened last year, there's actually a podcast episode that shows you how to do it. I'll make sure it's in the show notes too today. But I write it all out so that when we come to this time of the year again, and I'm thinking about next year, I can go take that note to myself, read through it and see how many of those things that I wrote down came to pass this year. And most of the time, I am shocked by what I find, like totally amazed. Many of the things will actually be, 100% have come to pass. And if I'm still working towards them, then I can refocus myself and think about, okay, why did I not allow myself to bring this thing in this year? Was there a specific reason? Am I starting to learn more things? Do I feel like I need to incorporate more contacts, whatever it is, there are things that I will ask myself about, like, what is the reason that this didn't come to pass this year? I truly believe that we could bring anything into our reality at any given time. Like, if we're ready for it, if we believe it's ours, if we trust that the universe can supply it, anything could truly happen. Like, you could be walking down the street or in your grocery store tomorrow and bump into Stephen King, and he could ask you to be his co-writer. Like, you don't know, right? There are things that could happen that could totally alter the trajectory of your life, but you have to believe it's possible. You have to open yourself up to those unlimited possibilities. And what's really cool about new beginnings is that our brains will start to reorganize itself because they'll start to form new neural pathways. And it's really going to help us to start and create those new habits. It's going to help us start and create those new visions for ourselves. And it's really pertinent at the start of a new cycle because now we can start new routines, we can start new writing habits, we can begin new marketing habits, we can contact people that we haven't contacted to try to get some insights or help. We could start new courses. I mean, there's so many different ways that our brains can help us maintain and continue to go forward with these new ideas and this new future version of ourselves. And in addition to that, when we start to engage our brain in a new way, where we start to incorporate a new habit, we start to think about these things as a new beginning, this also sets you up to trigger your brain's reward system, right? So it releases dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. It helps to keep you going, right? It's why we scroll through Facebook, because dopamine gets released and we're like, woo, look at that. That was exciting. Or we click on the notifications on our phone, or we open an email, or we answer a call when it's a new friend that we want to talk to, or, whatever. The dopamine is a key component into like us being in a good mood, and that motivation helping to kickstart our new projects, our new goals, and moving forward. So when we incorporate all of these ideas and we start to bring together the newness of the new year, the ideas that are coming through with it, we've already engaged our brains in a way that helps us to envision what's happening. It helps us then to see it like our lives not as like being in the middle, the messy middle of our manifestations or the messy middle of anything that we're doing. It helps us to envision it as a new beginning again. You're starting a new book, you're starting a new chapter, you're starting a new whatever. And everything's always more exciting in the new beginning, right? It's always way more interesting to start playing around with these concepts and these ideas when we start in a new, fresh place. Personally, I think the new year has always been a time, especially because I'm in Minnesota, right? It's dark, it's, kind of cold and desolate and quiet up here. Like, I live in central Minnesota. So what would normally be a hustle and bustle summer location gets really quiet. Like, there's not a lot of people who stay, in this time of year. It's only as crazy people who stick around. And it's a small town. And so we don't see a whole lot of people. We don't see a whole lot of activity going on. So it's a perfect time for that introspection. It's a perfect time to be thinking about it and incorporating all sorts of mind magic to envision this new future self. So I want to give you some insights or tips that you can use in order to like get that fresh start kicked off. So you can start it now. You could start it on the 1st of January, whenever you feel like you need to. But I want you to be incorporating some mental gymnastics right now, if you can. Just start thinking about what your future 2024 is going to look like. Okay. So that starts with obviously setting achievable goals. I want you to set some realistic writing goals at the beginning of the year, nothing that's going to be too crazy, because I don't want you to go completely nuts until you start getting your vibe. Like, if you haven't been writing already and you haven't been setting those achievable goals, I want you to be thinking about what does that get to look like for you? Because this is going to tap into that fresh start effect, and it can be a powerful motivator, especially if you haven't been writing as frequently as you would have liked to have been in 2023, right? So set those achievable goals. Envision what it looks like for you. Like, do you see yourself writing more in the morning? Do you see yourself writing more when you get home from work? Do you envision yourself in the afternoon with a cup of hot chocolate and a fire going? Like, what does it look like for you? Set those achievable goals and then visualize it. Get it into your mind before January starts. Okay. Number two would be to set new routines. So leverage the concepts that we were talking about with neuroplasticity, because you can establish new writing routines and rituals and make the most of this like adaptive brain time, because you're going to start seeing how much easier it is, because not only are you doing it, but other authors, other people around you are starting fresh too. There's just a vibe, there's an energy to this time of year. And I've said this before, it's like I feel it. I can feel it before it even comes, where it's like we're all kind of getting ready to enjoy the end of this year and to go forward into the new year in this new vibe, this new energy. So start thinking about those routines. Is it going to be about writing? Is it going to be about, going through those courses that you've purchased? Is it going to be, getting a handle on ChatGPT or figuring out how to use Midjourney? Is it going to be, TikTok? And finally, this is going to be the year that you start incorporating it. What are your new routines and how do they get to look like for you? I know for me, it's interesting to add new things into my routine, because if I don't think about them in advance, if I don't give myself that brain capacity to really play out the scenario, it's hard for me to pull them in and stick with it. So, like TikTok, for instance, I can set up a TikTok or a social media calendar where I have very detailed instructions, what I think I'm going to be doing. But if I haven't given myself the idea of like, what do the video components look like? How do I spend the time? Like, when do I do it? How does it feel? I don't do it. I just don't do it. And so I need to figure out what that looks like for me. And TikTok is one of the things that I plan on trying to incorporate more next year. Now, I haven't even decided, is it for Author Revolution or is it going to be for my author stuff that I'm going to incorporate TikTok for? Honestly, I don't know yet, because I haven't given myself that time. So that's something I'm going to be doing. I hope it's something that you'll be thinking about as well. Number three is positive reinforcement, because I want you to think about what ways can you reward yourself for the small achievements, because this keeps that dopamine driven motivation high, right? So Colin and I are on our weight loss journey. We're trying to figure out how to get back to our goal weights. We're realizing that folic acid is not a good situation because not everybody can methylate folic acid. Folic acid is now put into like everything, like freaking foods and grains and stuff. So now that we're not eating grains, we're able to actually our bodies are able to work better. So we've broken down our weight loss goals into like the decades, right? So once we get down it past a certain decade of numbers, we're going to go to Barnes and Noble for a trip, or we're going to go get a massage or Reiki, or we're going to get some sort of trip planned, a spa day, like whatever. Give yourself tiny little goals. As you hit them, give yourself the reward for it so that it keeps you motivated to keep on trusting, keep on going, keep on trying. Because this authorship, it's a long game. It's not anything that just comes to you instantaneously, at least not for most of us, right? And most of us don't really want that either. Most of us want this journey. We want to uncover our methods. We want to figure out how it gets to work for us. And sometimes we make it more difficult because we don't like things to be easy. I've talked about that on the podcast as well. I realize that I like to give myself a challenge because it makes me feel like I've accomplished something when I get to the other side of it. And if that's you, then the journey is almost more important. So give yourself little goals. It's like going to school and how each grade is like such a big deal, right? It's just a year turning over. It's no biggie. You're switching to a new teacher, sure, you're becoming something else, but having that specific, very concrete end and beginning gives our minds a way to be able to really feel good about what we've done or feel good about where we're going. And we need to do that for our author career. Maybe we start thinking about like, what does this year get to look like? I'm in year one as an author. Year one as an author means learning this. Year two as an author means learning that. Maybe we need to start thinking about things like that. But for right now, just get moving with it, right? Just start thinking about what it all looks like. Number four is reflecting and resetting. Now, we talk about alignment a lot through the Millionaire Author Manifestation course and through Abundant Author Alignment, but it's really important to reflect on your past experiences, so like the past year's achievements and the challenges, and then use those insights to set the new goals for the new year or the new insights for the next 6 months or the new quarter or however you're going to do it. Reflecting on what you've accomplished so that you can reset and start again is super important. So as we're going through 2024, maybe we break it up into those quarters. Maybe we go quarter one, I'm really focusing hard on this. I'm only going to be like, that's my main goal. TikTok's my main goal in quarter one of 2024. Make a decision and start working toward it. Give yourself that concrete goal so that you know when you've accomplished it. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. And now finally, the biggest tip that I can offer, and this is coming from someone who is doing it daily, and so I want you to be thinking about this as well, is like start thinking about how do you incorporate into your day mental workouts. Like not just, you don't have to do all this stuff by yourself, right? You can have Hypnosis by Tammy Tyree. You could have meditations by me or other people. You could be working on your own meditations, but having a time, a designated time where you sit down and meditate or you sit down and do a hypnosis is so, I don't even know, it's wildly invaluable. It is so good because it keeps you focused on whatever your goal might be. And now Tammy and I have been working on this thing called Your Future Self, like seriously, because this is how we're seeing our progress go faster. This is how we're seeing that time collapse happening, is by getting into a mind workout. So we call them mind magic workouts, where we're thinking about like a specific type of goal. So during November, it was NaNoWriMo mind magic. So we were thinking about like getting through that particular month and having it all put together. So December has been all about money mind magic, making sure that we are in the flow of money, because Christmas, I'll tell you what, it's always that time of year where we're thinking about like, how do I afford this? How do I bring more money in? How do we do this? And so December, we created the mental workout for that. It's a 4-week. Every single day, there's a hypnosis or a meditation, and then you listen to it. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to try to pick which one to do. It's there. It's ready for you. You just press play. And what's been really nice about that is it's kept me even in the vibe of it. I'm trying to go through the workouts as I am putting them together so that I can feel like, is there something that needs to change? Does this feel like it's the right workout? Could we do it in a different way? I'm looking at those things because I have a maximizer strength. So I look at those things and then try to make it even better. And so what I'm finding is that I'm more in the flow. I'm more in the flow of money. I'm ready to do like grand new things. I'm doing wonderful. And as we start January, now all of a sudden we're going to be talking about fresh starts, right? We're going to be talking about new beginnings and how do we take on that phoenix energy and do more. And so there are going to be meditations and hypnoses in Your Future Self to do that. Now, that particular hypnosis meditation membership is available on my website. So it's on authorrevolution.org. And if you go over to the store, it's in there. It's called Your Future Self. But I want you to be thinking about, you don't have to use this program, right? You don't have to join us to get the most out of your mental state. You just need to set aside 5, 10, 15 minutes every single day to let go of the momentum of your mind and be thinking more about the future version you want to see. Because often we're put into this place where we're thinking about what we already have, what has already presented itself. And the more we focus on what has already presented itself, the less we're future casting, the less we're envisioning what gets to come, what gets to be ours. And that's why we see over and over the same shit happening. That's why we're not seeing the forward momentum we want to see. And so having endings and beginnings is so powerful. And we could do it at any time. We could do it in any way we wanted to. It's just up to us to decide what that looks like for us. And so right now, just embrace the idea that we're all doing this together. We're all ending this year. We're all starting the next one. It's getting ready to rock and roll. This is just how it's going to work. As we do that, we're now in the flow of what we get to receive, what we expect to come. Personally, I think, having even just as little as 5 minutes a day where I drop the momentum of my to-do list of like what I have to accomplish as a mom, as a wife, as a dog owner, like all of the things where I could just become no one and have nothing that I have to worry about other than painting the picture of my future version of myself. That's fun. Have you ever done it? Like, that's really fun. You could be a princess if you wanted to, right? You could be whatever you want and have whatever you want in your mind. And as you elevate yourself into that vibe, into that frequency, now all of a sudden you are in a place where all things are possible, and all things are possible will come find you. It's really, really cool. You'll start seeing synchronicities. You'll start seeing new things that are coming to you in ways that you didn't anticipate. And it's awesome because then all of a sudden you're surprised and delighted by like the way life is unfolding. It's no longer just this like, ugh, gotta go to the job again. Ugh, why gotta I gotta write this chapter today? Ugh. It becomes that, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I get to go do this thing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what happens when. And all of that is just so powerful because it creates a snowball effect of joy and fun and love. And Abraham Hicks even talks about this, like where, the better it gets, the better it gets. Because as you get happier, more happiness comes to you. It snowballs. That law of attraction kicks in and everything continues to get better and better and better. And it all starts with this simple, small little thing called mindset. It all starts with this idea that we want better for ourselves. And so we're going to take a little bit of time to think about what that gets to look like for us. That's setting those achievable goals, creating those new routines, having positive reinforcement, reflecting and resetting, and giving yourself time to either meditate or go into hypnosis or just quiet your mind and future cast what this looks like for you. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you create the life you really want and let go of the one that's not working for you. The more you do that, the more you work on these thoughts and these new ideas, what's really cool is that you also start to see new ways to incorporate new things. Like you're not as judgmental, you're not as stuck in your old ways. You can start to see new possibilities. All sorts of new things will come to you, and you're going to be more open to them as they come. And then those new things give you new opportunities. Those new opportunities give you new results. It just continues to go on and on. It's really cool. So, at any rate, that is our conversation for this week. I want you to be as excited about 2024 as I am. I want you to be thinking through what does it get to look like for you? How fun can you make it? Like, what kinds of amazingness can you pull into your life next year? So focus on that fun, focus on that joy, and think about all the good things that are coming your way, because it is. All right? Okay, so if you'd like to download the transcript to today's podcast episode, you can head over to authorrevolution.org/213. Holy cow, 213 episodes so far. And you can download the transcript. You can get the link over to your future self if you'd like to join that particular membership, because Tammy and I would love to have you. We have so much fun putting these workouts together. It's just been great. Also, don't forget that if you are listening to this on December 13th, you have like one more day, today and tomorrow. So I guess 2 days left to sign up for my GPT Genius class. It's a master class that we're going to be putting out there. I am going to be showing you how to incorporate and utilize custom GPTs. So this is different from the 4 books, 5 days course. We're going to be talking about how to make ChatGPT your like best friend, your PA, your everything. I mean, honestly, it's co-writer. The way that it's changed is revolutionary. And again, it goes back to that mindset, like be thinking about what kinds of cool new things are coming and are you open to trying them? Because I'll tell you what, ChatGPT has been an absolute game changer, and custom GPTs in specific are amazing. So we'll be talking about all of those things. And I will include a link to being able to sign up for that as well in the show notes. So make sure you check it out. Hopefully you can join us. We are limited to 100 seats because I'm going to be doing it inside of Zoom for this particular one. So make sure you sign up and we'll hopefully see you there. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait. It's one of my favorite things right now to talk about, other than obviously mindset and manifestation, because those are pretty awesome too. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week. Enjoy everything that you're working on. I'm going to be wrapping up Dirty Books is almost finished. I think I have 2 more chapters to go. At the recording of this anyway, 2 more chapters to go. Maybe I'll be done by the time you hear this. And I'm also wrapping up the audiobook of Ruins. So for me, at least this week, it's kind of like an ending and new beginning too, because I'm ending a couple of the big projects that I've been working on all at the same time, weirdly enough. And then I'm going to go on vacation until the new year. And I'm going to be thinking an awful lot about what that new year gets to look like for me. So it's going to be so much fun. At any rate, have a great rest of your week. Get those things done, get the words on the page, and go forth and start your author revolution.